Good morning and welcome to Qigong Live Online. This is the advanced class. So today we're going to do one interesting one. Somebody's asked me about this. We're going to do one on weight loss, about how to lose weight using Qigong. But before we do that, we need to understand what puts weight on before we know how to lose it. Now in Chinese medicine, there's a couple of culprits that help put weight on, and it's got nothing to do with how much food you eat. It's to do with the metabolism and how the body is metabolizing food. Now, first of all, you have to understand the roles that two of them have. One of them is to do with the spleen, one's to do with the stomach. But before we do that, we're going to bow into the class. So welcome, everybody. And we're going to set a challenge today. I've set a challenge with the staff today, Forest Rock staff, and I'll talk about that during the class as well, about what we're going to do. But first of all, we're going to do the understand the traditional Chinese medicine and weight loss. Hold back on your thumbs. Left hand underneath, right hand on top. Cool. Make a fist with your left hand, cover with your right. Bring towards your heart, then down to your physical center, down to your lower dantian. Return the chi back to the lower dantian. Very good. So as we're talking about the weight loss, so one of the things that happens besides having too much carbohydrates in your diet, which of course you get too much sugar, the body stores it. So what happens with the carbohydrates, if you take too much carbs, whether it's to do with rice, bread, whatever it is, and sugars into the body, because carbohydrates is a source of food, won't let it go. It'll hang on to it. And what it does is converts it to fat and stores it. So it's a really simple process. What it does, it stores it as fat. Yep. And so how do you do that? Of course, if you cut the carbohydrates down, so you're only using carbohydrates that you're burning out through your day, and there's no extra carbohydrates. Or you can do the ketos where you don't have carbohydrates at all and burn oil or burn fat inside your body. And then the fat's not necessarily stored as fat. That's interesting. The oil is not stored as fat. It's because the trans fats or the good fats, the saturated fats, all of the different things are accumulated and stored differently inside the body. So that's how we do that. So first of all, we're going to go talk about the understanding of, that's the easy part, just carbohydrate load. If you're having more carbohydrates than you're actually expending in energy, then the body's going to store that. So then it stores it as fat, simple. Second part is that we go to the TCM understanding of who's responsible for that. And so one of the main recipients of the energy is when we eat food, the stomach in Chinese medicine ripens and rottens the food and then breaks it all down and then takes it into the system. This is traditional Chinese medicine, thousands of years old understanding. Takes it into the body system, and where all the minerals and everything's absorbed in through the digestive system into the blood, and then transported through the whole body to feed everything. The spleen, though, the spleen's energy takes the energy off the food, and distributes the energy to itself to help break food down. It gives energy to the lungs to help the breathing, this other source of energy. And then the remainder, it goes to the kidneys where it's stored. It's like our battery. So some of it goes back to the battery to the kidneys. Some of it goes to the lungs to help the lungs breathe, so we get energy from there. And some of it keeps itself. That's what it does. Now, if the spleen chi is deficient, those three functions don't happen. It doesn't send much energy to the lungs. It doesn't send much energy to the kidneys, and then you're going to get less and less energy. And the other main one, it doesn't give energy to itself. So then it loses its ability to digest food. It loses its ability to take energy off the food. And when that happens, it also comes away from the stomach, because the spleen and stomach are brother and sister, the yin and yang and 5 elements. And so it takes the energy off the stomach too. So now the stomach's not doing its job as well as the spleen's not taking energy off. When the stomach doesn't do that, then the stomach doesn't break the food down properly. And a classic symptom of spleen chi deficiency and stomach deficiency is when there's undigested food in your stools, and basically it's going straight through your system and the body's not breaking it down. And so that's a classic symptom of going straight through the body. So when the spleen's, and I'll animate this for you, so when the spleen's tired, and when this spleen, Mr. Spleen, sitting inside your body, if he's tired, he can't be bothered working because he's got no energy. So when the food comes in, he looks at all the food and goes, nah, I don't want to get any energy from the food, I'm too tired, just flush it out the bottom end. I can't be bothered. And he's sitting in the factory and he's like this lazy, and he goes, no, I've got no energy to work because I'm too tired. This is symbolic of humans being too tired as well, because when they're too tired, the body doesn't function either. So he's sitting there. So what can happen if you're spleen G deficient and you're putting weight on. You can put weight on when you're spleen chi deficient by eating lettuce leaves. You can eat a lettuce, you can eat salad and put weight on. And people have reported to me this in the clinic. And the reason is there's carbohydrates in the lettuce. And the bodies can't break the food down, can't use the carbohydrates, so it stores it as fat because it's not being used to transfer into energy from the body because the spleen's too tired to do that. I'm using that terminology given it like a character so you can understand the principle of it. So why the spleen's too tired, it doesn't digest any food, it all goes through the bottom end. And anything with carbohydrates just stores the carbohydrates as fat. And that's why you can put weight on eating lettuce. And this happens, and people know this, what I'm talking about. There's people go, oh, I did that. I was on a diet and I was putting weight on. Exactly what's happening because of your spleen chi deficient. So the next thing we've got to ask is, why is the spleen chi deficient? Yep. So back to the spleen. What depletes spleen chi's energy? So spleen chi's major function, there's a few functions it has, but one of its major functions is the energy of the spleen gives you energy for your mind. So your cognitive thinking, all your problem solving and all your planning that comes inside your mind is funded by the energy of the spleen. That's why one of the first symptoms of spleen chi deficient is memory loss. You'll get short-term memory. You can't remember where you put your keys. You'll look for things, oh damn, where is everything? And that's a short-term memory loss, and that's a spleen chi deficiency sign. It all happens really early in the spleen chi. Because what happens with energy in the body, Chinese medicine, if things are if they've got no energy, if spleen chi hasn't got a lot of energy, then there's an order of the things that stop the functions. So the first one's memory loss. The second one can be alternating stools. It'll affect your stools. And then we're back to the undigested food coming out through your stools. Third one can be bruising. You'll get bruises on your body because the spleen has a function to do with the blood. I won't go into too much detail about it, but it does. So, and depending on how long your spleen's been deficient for, depending on how many symptoms you've had, if you had spleen chi deficiency for a long time, you'll get a thing called heavy limbs, which means your arms and your legs will feel really heavy. Now, if you've ever had that, you'll know exactly what I said then, but if you've never had it, you have no idea what I said because it won't make any difference. But if you have, you go, yeah, I've had that. And it's a very unique, but it's when the spleen chi's been deficient a long time. But we're talking about weight loss. So we're talking about the problem with the spleen not helping the stomach to digest food properly and then getting stored as fat. And it's got nothing to do with diet. It's got to do with the function of the body. The other one, which we talked about at first, is just having too much carbohydrates in the body. You have too much sugar. And so we worked that one out. So that's easy. So this one's slightly different. So we're going to do exercise today for the spleen and the stomach to help the body digest food so that you don't, you get the energy from the food and the body stops storing it. And the food that has been stored, and we can break down, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can break down the food that's been stored as fat, how you get that. Of course, there's an easy way, of course, is don't eat. But we'll talk about what the functionality of that happens as we do these exercises anyway. I'll go into that as the last piece to understand. I don't mean don't eat, but I'll understand the principle, how to lose the weight. So first of all, we're going to do an exercise for the spleen, and it's from the Zang Qigong system. And it's an exercise where you're going to massage the spleen. Now, the spleen's on your left-hand side, underneath the rib cage at the back. And so you're going to put your hands on it. Now, for the males, you're going to put your left hand on your tummy, on your side, and your right hand over the top. For the females, you're going to put your right hand with your left over the top. Yep. Now, we're going to do circles. We're going to do circles, and we're going to, whenever we do the circles, if you think of the movement, it goes from the top to the right, to the bottom, and then to the left. So go top, right, bottom, left. If you think of that, top, right, bottom, left. This is anti-clockwise, but I don't want to say that word anti-clockwise. It's going to get you confused. So just go top, right, bottom, left. Because when you're looking at me and when you're doing it yourself, it can be confusing. Yep. Top, right, bottom, left. We're going to do this 9 times on the spleen. In my mind, my intention is inside the spleen, energizing the spleen. But because we're going anti-clockwise, at the moment what I'm doing is taking away any imperfections or any impurities or any perverse chi in the spleen, and I'm breaking it all up because I want to get rid of it. Yep. So that's anti-clockwise 9 times. Then we go to clockwise, which is top, right, bottom, left. That's right, just top, right, but don't try to work this out clockwise. Top, right, no, sorry, top, left. I confused myself. Top, left, bottom, right is clockwise. So it goes top, left, bottom, right. Then you get it right. Then you get it right. Sorry about that. So we do that 9 times. So now we've broken up all the impurities in the spleen, the energy of the spleen organ it is, because remember this also has the spleen meridian, not just the spleen organ, but we're doing the organ at the moment. And you do 9 times, and then you're going to do what they call point respiration. And what you're going to do is with the hands, you're going to push your hands in, and you're going to breathe out. And we think of we're breathing out the perverse chi that's trapped inside the spleen organ, and we're breathing it out. Yeah, we push our hands and go. Then we breathe in all the good chi from my oxygen I breathe in, and we're going to take all the energy of that into the spleen. Push and breathe out. Relax, breathe in. Good. Push in and breathe out. Breathe in. We'll do one more. Push in, breathe out. Relax, breathe in. Good. We're going to do that again. So we go to the top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, left 9 times. And the same thing again, we're looking at any imperfections inside the spleen. We're thinking about that. And we're thinking of how to get rid of that. Yep. Top, right, bottom, left. That's it. Perfect. We'll do this 9 times. My mind is inside my body. My mind is inside my intentions in my spleen, clearing the spleen out with my mind. If you're not sure what the spleen looks like and where it is, have a look at an anatomical map or there's plenty of them. You can find them on the internet so you can know exactly where it is without me trying to set up a picture for you, but there's plenty you can see. So it's only small, it's tiny. And then go the opposite way 9 times, which is top, left, bottom, right. Go from the top to the left to the bottom to the right. And do that 9 times as well. It's strange to think that the way to lose weight is to strengthen your spleen. You'd normally think it's something to do with your stomach. Well, the spleen and the stomach, of course, are related to each other. One's yin and one's yang. And then point respiration. It's called point respiration. It's a Daoyin practice, and they have a terminology called point respiration, where you push into the point and breathe out. And this is what we're going to do. We're using both hands. Sometimes you do it acupuncture points. You can push into the point and breathe out and relax. We're doing both hands. So push and breathe out all the perverse chi from your spleen. Breathe in. Push and breathe out. Breathe in. Push and breathe out. Breathe in. Good. Now bring your hands back in the front. Very good. So that's the first piece. So now we're going to do exercise from the Shu Ba Shu, and we're going to do rowing the boat in the middle of the lake, which is a classic spleen chi deficiency exercise. And we're going to do that first, and then we're going to boost up the spleen. So we start with the hands facing towards the front. And we're going to lower ourselves. We bend ourselves down. And remember our feet, we're standing on the kidney points, the knees slightly bend. Yeah. And so our heels are on the ground, but there's no weight. I'm standing on my muscles. Because as soon as I stand on my muscles, I engage all the energy in my legs, because all energy needs to be used because I'm engaged my muscles, and the muscles need the energy. If I stand back on my heels, then I've engaged Yin Chao Mai, which is the energy in the bones, which is a different thing what we want to do. We want to engage the 12 meridians, so come forward, stand on your front, toes are touching the ground, and because our muscles are engaged, the energy starts coming up our feet. Yep, and what comes up the yin meridians. So go to lower ourselves down. Keep your back nice and straight, don't put your bum out. Turn your hands to the front, and then bring your hands back, and you feel the stretch in your shoulders as you stand up, and it goes right across the front to the top of your head, and then comes down the front of your body. Now the arms are slightly bent, but they're not super straight. They're slightly bent, yeah? Comes down. Lower yourself down again. Turn your palms to the front. And then breathe in. As you slightly rise, you bring your hands back. So you see my arms. See the arms aren't like that straight. They've got a slight bend in them. So even when I get to the top, they've still got a slight bend. They're not certainly straight there. They've got a slight bend in them, and then come back down. So we're keeping a slight bend in the arms, but they're not bent, but they're not straight either. Lower yourself down. Good. Turn your palms to the front, breathing in. Now this is a classic exercise for the spleen. And then bring your hands down the front. Breathing out on the way down. And then breathe in as you come up. And then breathe out. Perfect. Breathing in. through the arms flow, and breathe out. I remember giving this exercise to a lady who had digestive problems, because this not only does the spleen, but it does digestive disturbances as well. It's good for gastric ulcers and things like that. And she'd had trouble for years with her tummy, and I gave her this exercise. And she only did it for a couple of weeks, and it actually fixed her problem. Just this one exercise. It's that good for the spleen in the stomach. But it's primarily for the spleen, breathing in. And part of what's actually happening, the dynamics of this, I'll just keep going, is that the spleen channel travels up the inside your, underneath your arm. It finishes just a darbell underneath your arm. So when you're reaching up, you're actually stretching the spleen channel, yeah? There's another exercise that does the same thing shortly, and I'll show you that one too, which actually stretches this thing. And then breathe out. One more time. Breathing in. So you rise as you stand up. Don't have your legs straight at the top. They've still got a slight bend. But when you come down the front, they actually get a bigger bend and they bend more as you go down. Yeah, we'll do one more. Then you bend right down, keep your back straight. Breathing in. But as I say, when you get to the top, don't straighten your legs, just have them still slightly bent. And bring your hands down. So the next one we're going to do is called rolling with the waves. Now this is the exercise for the spleen as well. Now it's slightly, I'm going to mirror you, so we're going to step off to the right. Yep, step off to the right. And what happens is when you have your toe off the ground, your toes off the ground, just sitting on your heel, yeah? You put your hands like this. We'll start with that to make it easy for you. Yeah? And then as you go forward, the toe goes down first, then you push, and you push forward with like the palm of your hand, you're pushing, and the back foot comes forward and your palms go down. But the palms are just facing the ground. The fingers aren't down, the palms are facing down. And you put your chin on your chest. Then you step back, and you bring your toe, and you slide the hands back and you bring the toe up. Good, and the hands go down slightly, and then come forward and push up again, and the toe goes down and you come forward. Very good. Chin on chest. Stepping back, slide your hands, like sliding them off a table. Bring your toe up, goes down slightly, and then press. Now this looks very much like the roll back and press from Taiji, which is where this exercise came from. The idea is a martial application, where you slide it back, you're pulling the person back, and then you'll get it underneath their weight, and then you're pushing them forward. You go down and come forward, yeah? But we're using it for the energetic application, which is to do with the spleen. Breathe in when you come back. Breathe out when you go forward. Slightly comes up. Palms facing the ground. The toes just touches the ground when it comes forward. Goes back. Bring the toe off the ground, the front foot. So we've got our right foot, toe off the ground. Comes down slightly, then toe goes down, then press forward. Chin on chest. Breathe in as we come back. Breathe out when we go forward. This is from the Taiji Qigong system as well. Two nice, easy spleen exercises. And we'll do one more after this one. Cool. And we step back and we drop slide, so step back. As you roll back, step the foot in, right foot pointing, and step out with your left. Heel first, have the toe off the ground, then toe goes down, then push. Then the press. Chin on chest. Step back. Slide the arms back, keep the shoulders down. Toe comes off the ground. Goes slightly down, then comes forward and pushes up again. Breathe out as you go forward. Breathe in as you come back. Bring the toe off the ground. Toe goes down first and then press. Bring the back foot forward. The right foot back. Bring the left toe up in the air. And then breathe out as you go forward. There's a few things to remember in this exercise. It's all about the timing. As we step back, you bring the toe up as we slide back. And we roll back, and then the toe goes down first before we come forward. Breathe in as we come back. Breathe out as we go forward. Breathe in as you come back. Toe goes down. Breathe out as you go forward. Chin on chest, palms facing the ground. Sit back, we'll do one more. And hopefully that balances us out. I think we might have to do one more actually. It's important in Qigong that you do the same amount of exercise one side or the other for obvious reasons. Something to do with yin yang. So it's always important to do the same amount of exercises both sides. And bring your hands down. Come back to the start. Good. So there's 3 exercises that tonify the spleen. So when, as I say, once the spleen's strong, then it'll help the digestive functions and it'll stop storing fat. Yep. So the other part, of course, is if you already have the fat, how do you get rid of the fat? And that's the other part of it. So there's a few different ways you can do this. So if you exercise, there's been lots of research done on this. So I'm just going to quote a little bit of research. I can't tell you exactly which one it is, but you can find this out. That when you exercise, the blood has about 20 minutes of glucose floating around the blood. So when you exercise, the first 20 minutes, we'll use the glucose in the blood for the exercise, to give you energy for the exercise. After 20 minutes, it goes to the liver, and the liver breaks down the carbohydrates that are in the liver, turns it back into glucose, and then uses the glucose in the liver for the next 20 minutes. So that's the first 20 minutes to get rid of the glucose in the blood. The second 20 minutes to get rid of the glucose and the carbohydrates that are in the liver, and to reconstitute and put it back into the blood system. So that's 40 minutes. And after that, then it goes for the fat and breaks the fat down and turns the fat back into carbohydrates, back from the carbohydrates back into glucose. And that happens after 40 minutes of exercise. So there's a long time you have to train when you're just using the energy that's in your body without anything else before it even looks at the fat. So that's 40 minutes with not touching the fat of exercise. And that's a long time. Depending on the level of sort of glucose in your blood, because there's will be a variant of this as well, depending on how much glucose in the blood and to much how glucose your liver's holding as well. So there will be a fudge factor, but we're using a 20-minute window as an estimate for most people, an average sort of thing, because everybody will be slightly different. So 40 minutes exercise, and then you go to the fat. But the key to the exercises isn't what happens during the exercise for the 40 minutes. It's what happens after the training, after the practice. Because the body will digest fat for 23 hours after you've trained, as long as you don't eat. So I understand the principle, what's happening to us. So the body, in its wisdom, because it's clever, it'll crave carbohydrates when you finish practicing. So if you've done a 40-minute workout, or if you've done an hour workout, remember only 20 minutes of that hour workout was burning fat. The other one was just using the glucose in your blood and your liver. So you've only used 20 minutes of fat burning. So after you finish your hour training, the body craves carbohydrates or craves sugar again, because that's what you just used up. If you don't feed it, then it'll keep using the body's fat to reconstitute the glucose in the liver and reconstitute the glucose in the bloodstream to build it back up again. It'll just use the fat to do that. But if you eat something, it'll go straight for the food, and then it doesn't do the fat thing. So you understand what I'm saying? So the longer you don't eat for after you've exercised, the more fat you're going to burn. Because the more fat, it's going to transform the fat back into glucose, back into the blood and liver. So the problem is, of course, after you finish training, after you've had a good hour workout, you're hungry. Because your body's craving carbohydrates, you just burnt it up. Don't do that. Just hang out as long as you can for an hour, 2 hours, because every hour you have where you don't eat after you've trained, the body's burning fat. And you're not even doing anything, not even exercising, but you're using fat now because it's breaking it down to reconstitute it. So then I encourage you after your training, because as I say, usually on the way home, you're just hungry, you want to get home and you have a big feed. As soon as you do that, the body gets the energy from the new food you eat and it doesn't touch the fat anymore. The only time you're going to burn the fat is in 20 minutes while you're in the gym. Now, if you've got a power drink or you're drinking power drinks during that time, guess what it does? It doesn't go for the fat at all. It just goes to the power drink. It'll just get that. If you're drinking some smoothies or anything that's got sugar in it during your workout, it's not burning any fat at all. It's just using carbohydrates. It's just using the glucose. So the longer you don't eat for, the longer you don't have anything after you've trained for 40 minutes, the longer the body will burn fat. As I said, they did some research, got up to 23 hours. I'm pretty sure that was the figure, 23 hours after exercising. If you don't, it keeps breaking fat down if you don't eat. But as soon as you give it food, of course, then it's going to go for the food. So that's one way of doing it. So don't eat after you train, after you've practiced. Of course, the physical exercise is important because you want to get rid of the glucose so you can break the fat down. You can starve yourself, which is the same thing. You go on a diet and don't, as long as you don't eat carbohydrates, you'll be fine because the body will go looking for the carbohydrates in your own body. And it knows where it is, it knows it's stored as fat, but it takes energy to break the fat down back into glucose, back into energy. So it wants the easy way, which is food. Give me food, I don't have to do all this work. I don't have to do the breaking down the fat thing. I can just get food. So it wants you to eat. So then the not eating is a great thing as well. So then you can get into intermittent fasting where you can just eat for certain periods of the time of the day and don't eat for the rest of the day. And while you're still doing activity, you're going to burn out all the glucose in your blood and your liver, and it's going to go back to the fat again because it's got nowhere else to go if you're not eating. So that's the other way. So you can do it. One, you can do it is just don't eat after you exercise. The other one is intermittent fasting. The longer period when you're not eating, the more it's going to get to the fat. There's pretty logical understanding of this. And I've done the intermittent fasting and I lost 12 kilograms really quickly just because I wasn't eating during the time and I was still exercising, still working, and it just burnt it off because it's going looking for it. And if I'm not giving it food, it's got to get it from somewhere. So it goes to the fat. Simple. Hopefully you got to understand that. That's the basic understanding of it. There's a lot more complexity of that, but that'll do for the start. So the challenge for the day, and this is the challenge for your week, for everybody. So I have a couple of people in the office here in Forest Rock that actually need to put weight on. They're a little bit skinnier than they need to be. So their challenge is to put two pounds on, and for the rest of us to take 2 pounds off. Yep. So that's going to be, and I issue the challenge for everybody, and I'll report it next week and tell you how, and I'll weigh myself today and I'll weigh myself afterwards in 2 weeks' time to tell you what's happened. And so I plan, and I'm going to declare that I'm going to go and do 2 lots of gym today. This week I'm going to the gym because I like going to the gym to exercise my muscles, not the energy. And then I'm going to do Tai Chi and Qigong for 4 days of the week. 4 days. I'll do four days practice, 2 days at the gym, and have a day off on one day off on Sunday. Give my body a rest. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm making that challenge for you to set your training program and to set to lose 2 pounds this week. Just 2, nothing more than that. And part of it will be doing these exercises. I'll do these exercises each day as well. The spleen exercise I just did now. I'll do those every day for 7 days. And I'll see you next week and let's see how you get on with it. And I'll report back how much weight I've lost. Because I've been away for a few weeks and I noticed I put some weight back on because I've been eating outside my normal eating pattern. So I need to lose a bit of weight. So I'm going to do that. So jump into my challenge with you. I'll write all the details of that down in the description in YouTube so you can see it. And yeah, enjoy and do it because it's fun. Don't do weight loss because I want to look good. I do it because of my health. I don't want to look slim and great at the beach. I don't care what other people think I look like. I'm doing it because I want to feel healthy. That's my motivation for me. So I feel good inside my body and the health in my body. That's the motivation, not whether people think I look great or not. It's the wrong motivation. Well, I shouldn't say the wrong motivation. there's a better motivation. I can't say it's wrong, because having a self picture of yourself that you present to the public is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing. I'm just saying my motivation is I'm doing it for my health, not to what I look like. Yep. I disclose, because I think sometimes presenting yourself well in the world and presenting and standing upright and looking out and being proud of who you are, and I think it's a really good thing. I think we need to all stand up and look out myself. So I'll add that piece of this. It's not, but my motivation for this particular challenge is for my health. Anyway, roll back on your thumbs. Please share any comments. Go. Yeah, please share any comments with the in the YouTube underneath it. This video, if you have anything, if you want to buy into the challenge, I'm very welcome. Please do that with me. Hang in there with me. We'll see you in 7 weeks. 7 days, not very long. 7 days your whole life to do some exercises every day for 7 days, and go do some exercises while you. And I've said that I'm going to do so many days. Our Penrun 2 here, she said she's going to walk every day for 7 days. So set yourself an exercise thing you want to do each week. This week, just this 1 week. And you might want to go for 2 walks. You might want to do 3 walks. You might want to go for a run. You might want to swim, whatever your one is. And set yourself that you're going to do that this week. I'm going to go for a swim in the pool and do 50 legs twice a week. And set that as a goal for this week. And we do this fitness thing for a week. That'll be fun. And we'll all do it together, including Josephine, my wife. She's into it. The hardest probably one will be my son, but we'll get him go, because he swims too, and he's a really good swimmer. And so he does about 50 lengths anyway. So we'll all do it together. It'll be fun. And we'll check in next week, eh? Bye-bye. Have a great week, eh? Cheers.